Hello friends, welcome. Friends, yesterday TRAI posted this document on their website. That is on 24th March 2025. And this document is regarding DOT's comments on TRAI's original recommendation on 24th April 2024 on infrastructure sharing, spectrum sharing and spectrum leasing. So DOT has sent certain comments and asked TRAI to review those recommendations, and TRAI has sent back that recommendation by giving their justification and comments whether they agree to DOT's observation or they don't agree, depending upon TRAI send out that recommendation back to DOT for their acceptance or rejection, right? So this is how the process works. Now why I'm doing this video today, friends, is that spectrum sharing is a very important topic. Now today we have got intra-band spectrum sharing, and this guideline is a guideline which is pretty old. It was originally issued on 2015. Now the new guideline, let me just show you where the guideline is so that you can understand. So this guideline has been revised on 11th of October 2021. Based on this guideline, you are already allowed to share access spectrum. Now, what is then new in the TRAI recommendation? That's the question we have to ask. So friends, if there is a guideline for sharing access spectrum, what type of access spectrum and how this guideline is structured? So this guideline is about intra-band sharing, which means, let's say if both the operators have spectrum in a particular spectrum band, let's say 900 megahertz band, they can pool their spectrum and create a combined spectrum, which is called sharing of spectrum. Right? But it did not allow sharing of spectrum across band, which they call it inter-band spectrum sharing. And it also did not allow leasing of spectrum, right? So you see here, leasing of spectrum is not permitted in this guideline. So that is why this TRAI's recommendation, which we were talking about, this is the back reference. So this TRAI recommendation here, if you see here, this is pretty important. This recommendation came on 24th April 2024. It talks about inter-band spectrum sharing and as well as spectrum leasing, and looks like the DOT is serious about empowering the operators with this flexibility. Now before we go into the details of this recommendation and try to understand that whether these recommendations are really going to unlock value on ground, we need to understand what TRAI is talking about. What is inter-band spectrum sharing? That we need to understand. Now inter-band spectrum sharing is as follows. This line is pretty important. Inter-band spectrum sharing in an LSA should be restricted within the frequency band falling within the spectrum band category. Understand the word restricted. Means you can't do inter-band sharing unless you fall within the category of this particular band class. For example, sub-GHz band, 600, 700, 800, 900 megahertz band. So if you have spectrum in one of the bands, right, in any of the LSA, if another operator has spectrum in other band, let's say in 800 megahertz somebody has and you have 900 megahertz, then you can do intra-band spectrum sharing to create a larger pool within the same category of sub-GHz band. Similarly, in category 2 also, 1800 and 2100, you can do that. Category 3 is there and category 4 is there. And this is the main, you can say, theme of inter-band spectrum sharing, right? Intra-band, I have already explained, with the rules and guidelines are already there. And then there is another concept of spectrum leasing, because I'm not going to get into the details of the commercial condition, etc., because those are not very important, but I'm going to give a summary at the later stage. But let's talk about what is spectrum leasing. So then look at this line. Authority recommends that the leasing of access spectrum should be permitted amongst access service provider. Following terms and conditions should be made applicable on leasing of spectrum, access spectrum. So in this, there is one important consideration. What leasing means, that if you have unused spectrum, you are not using it, you give the usage rights to somebody else. For example, let's say if you have got 900 megahertz spectrum and you are not fully utilizing the 900 megahertz spectrum, a portion of that spectrum you give it to, let's say, somebody else to use. And here the TRAI has put a restriction. TRAI is saying that a service provider should not be permitted to lease more than 50% of its qualified spectrum holding that meets the lock-in condition in the frequency band of LSA. So there are two restrictions which they have put in both the empowerments that they have talked about in this recommendation. One is inter-band, where there is a band class which they have created. You have to have spectrum within that band. Another is leasing, where they're saying you should not be allowed to share more than 50%, right? Now, given this condition, in my view, both this becomes useless. And you will understand what I'm saying. This whole recommendation is non-empowering. It is not going to empower the service provider to do anything meaningful. And I will explain this by using my diagram, which I always do. So I have an app here, which I have created, and I'll give you specific practical references where it can be executed and why it is not going to be useful. So be with me and you will be able to understand that. This is a 900 frequency band structure. This color that you see here, this is Vodafone, blue color, this is green Bharti, and this is green Bharti, and then you have got pink color, which is unsold spectrum, and this is for BSNL, and this is pink, this is light pink, and this is violet color, and this is for railways, right? So this is the structure of this band. Now, if let's say Vodafone and Bharti wanted to do spectrum sharing, okay, what is permissible under the current guidelines? Forget about the TRAI recommendation, which is intra-band. So Vodafone and Bharti can share spectrum in this band, AP, because both have spectrum in the same circle in 900 megahertz. They can pool their spectrum and create a larger pool, no restriction. However, if Vodafone was to share spectrum or use Bharti spectrum in Bihar, it can't. Why? Because Vodafone does not have any spectrum in Bihar in the same band in 900 megahertz band. But let me ask you a question. Can inter-band sharing now help Vodafone to access Bharti spectrum in Bihar in the 900 megahertz band? No. Why? Because Vodafone does not have any spectrum in the category 1 in the 800 megahertz band, right? Or in the 700 megahertz band, or in the 600 megahertz band, to able to do intra-band sharing with Bharti spectrum. That is point number 1. The second point is pretty important. See, the spectrum band within the same category class, right, which is category 1 with the sub-GHz band. Let's start with category 1, which is the sub-GHz band. If you are allowing inter-band sharing, it means that you are going to pool spectrum from different bands and make it as if that they are looking like one. Because if you had spectrum in this band, right, in Bihar, let's say Vodafone had spectrum in the Bihar, then it would not have any problem. It could have clearly created a larger block and it would appear as if that the spectrum is belonging to both Vodafone and Bharti, no problem. But if Vodafone had spectrum, let's say in 800 megahertz band, how could Vodafone combine 800 megahertz band with Bharti's 900 megahertz band and create a larger block which will enable them to do more than what they can do today, right? So you will say they will do carrier aggregation. Very simple. But the carrier aggregation in bands which are close to each other does not work, which I have explained in this article. Let me just show you why it does not work. So let's say if you have two bands, right? Let's say this is 800 megahertz band and this is 900 megahertz band, closely spaced together, because these are sub-GHz band, right? So they are closely aligned with each other in the frequency domain. And when you are receiving that in the antenna and you are aggregating that in your phone, because when you are sharing a pool of spectrum band, your phone should be capable of receiving signal from both the bands. That's the whole purpose of inter-band sharing, right? You will cause a loss of around 2 dB, because this diplexer will not be able to filter spectrum which are closely anchored with each other. Means they are in the same band class category in the sub-GHz band. It has to be in a different band class category in order to do this kind of aggregation. This is called carrier aggregation. Therefore, carrier aggregation, if you see friends, it always works between two different spectrum band or two bands which are widely separated between each other in frequency domain. For example, you can do carrier aggregation with 1800 megahertz band, with 800 megahertz band, 2.3 gigahertz band, with 800 megahertz band. But 1800 and 2100 nobody aggregates because they are in the same band almost. But sub-gigahertz band, they are so close to each other. If you do the aggregation here, they will cause a loss of around 2 dB, which means 40% of your network coverage is going to be lost. That is why, because of this, what TRAI has said regarding this spectrum inter-band spectrum sharing and created these categories, right, is actually of no use to me. This is not going to be useful because nobody is going to do sharing like this, right? It says inter-band sharing in LS should be restricted within the frequency band falling within the spectrum band category, which means that if you are having spectrum, you are going to combine this together to create a larger block, which nobody is going to do. Let me tell you frankly, friends, otherwise if it was done, it should have been done by Reliance in the 700 and 800 megahertz band. They could have converted their 800 megahertz partially to 5G, and using their 700 megahertz 5G, they could have expanded their 700 megahertz capacity from 10 megahertz to 15 to 20 megahertz, which they will not do because of this problem which I explained to you, right? So this is one. Second is that you may think, okay, if intra-band sharing cannot help, I will use this leasing capability, right? For example, let's go straight to the same problem which we were discussing here, right? We have got this, let's say Bihar. In Bihar, if Vodafone wants to access this green spectrum for Bharti, they will say, I will lease spectrum from Bharti. Right? I'm just giving you a thing. Whether they will do or not, whether Bharti allow or not is a different point. But they can say that I'm going to lease spectrum from Bharti, right? But the condition here is very, very restrictive, which TRAI is saying a service provider should not be permitted to lease more than 50% of his qualifying spectrum holding to meet the locking period in the frequency band. Forget about the locking period, that is a technical thing which I don't want to discuss here, but does not matter in this discussion. What is important is permitted to lease more than 50%. So what will happen here, in this particular circle, if Bharti has how much spectrum? Bharti has 12 megahertz of spectrum. If Bharti decides, hypothetically, to share spectrum with Vodafone, and then in some circle, for example, Haryana, where Vodafone has spectrum, Bharti does not have spectrum, if Bharti wants to basically get access to Vodafone band through spectrum leasing technique, then only half of the spectrum will be shared to Bharti. So you will never be able to create a full block of spectrum, right? Or able to have the benefit of a larger carrier size of spectrum between between the sharing partners, because if you dissect the spectrum into two different compartments, both will get constrained because the throughput will get restricted for both the service provider. That is not the way to work spectrum sharing or for spectrum leasing. So this is another big problem which you are going to face as far as spectrum leasing is concerned. It's not going to work, right? Because I look at the sub-GHz band as the most important band to unlock the value, because higher frequency band, it does not matter. You don't have to have that fulfillment. What you are going to do? You have got plenty of spectrum, right, in the higher frequency band. Now, there is one more thing which might make these spectrum very useful, which is satellite. Because satellite operators need to lease spectrum from the mobile operators to able to do mobile satellite integration. Because today, the satellite operators are deploying satellite for broadband, not for mobile integration. Tomorrow, they will actually have to do this IMT integration, satellite integration, right, of their service in order to deliver satellite services on commercial mobile phone, right? So they will have two problems. The first problem that they are going to face is that if the operators, right? So look at this band structure here, right? Look at this band structure here. If, let's say, satellite operator goes to Bharti and say, look, in Assam, just giving an example. Let's say in Assam, you have got how many spectrum? 15 megahertz spectrum you have, right? So you lease, because they will not be able to share spectrum because they don't have spectrum in the 900 megahertz band. So as per the TRAI guideline, they have to follow the principle of what? Leasing. So they will be forced to, Bharti will be forced to lease only 50% of their spectrum because they are not allowed by the leasing guideline to share more than 50%. So then the satellite services on the mobile phone, right, based on this guideline, because these guidelines are not for satellite mobile integration. I'm saying that if the principle is carried forward in that direction for satellite integration also, then you will find the satellite services will become less empowering because satellite is already constrained. And if you divide this band, which is 15 megahertz to 7.5 plus 7.5, you will make the satellite services less empowering, right? That is another difficulty that you have, right? The second difficulty that they will have, which I have been speaking from a very, very long period of time, is that all these, let me just show you the band structure so that you understand what I am talking about. Look at the 700 megahertz band structure for Reliance, right? So Reliance 700 megahertz band structure is all bands are harmonious across all the circles. So if, let's say, if there was a leasing guideline which was made applicable for Reliance with the satellite operator, let's say Starlink, then this whole 10 megahertz of spectrum Reliance has in 700 megahertz band can be used, and they can do a integration of mobile using the leasing guideline. But they can't even do now is that you have to now divide this spectrum into 5 megahertz because the current leasing guidelines does not work. So this is one problem. Second is the inter-border interference, which I have already spoken in one of my video, and I'm going to show you. First, before I show you this, let me go to 900 megahertz band to make you understand what I'm talking about. In 900 megahertz band, the difficulty is that all the spectrum for all the operators are not aligned properly across border. Now, satellite is throwing signal from the sky, so there will be overlapping on the border area. Let's say if there is a circle, I'm just going to show you on map so that you understand what I'm talking about. Let's say my pen has got vanished, so let's say quit screen burst, and I just take the pen because otherwise there'll be a problem. Show toolbar. Yeah, so here if you see this is the map of 1800 megahertz spectrum band. For the sake of understanding, I'm just throwing one map. Now you'll find that this is basically RGO, right? And this is what VI. Now let's say let's go to 900 megahertz band, then it will be much more better to talk about that. Here is the 900 megahertz band. That is much better, right? So let's go and let me just show you. This is the channel I have chosen. I can choose any channel because this has been dissected in 0.2 megahertz. So whatever you are seeing here is almost like a CT scan on the basis of 0.2 megahertz. So as I move this, these colors are going to keep change, which will show that different operator has got different usage and different band. For example, let's say Bharti is in UP East, and here we have Vodafone. Now, if Bharti decides to basically lease Starlink, spectrum with targeting UP East, then there will be interference in the border with Vodafone. So how will you manage that? So will you have no man's land here, right? Where you know 50% of the circle will be unused, right? Because you are going to transmit in the Vodafone bands in the border area and cause interference in Vodafone, right? So there will be many such cases. If I just take this like this, you will see that these boundaries will keep on changing depending upon how the spectrum is structured, right? You see, so that reflects this band structure. This band structure is the reason for that heterogeneity. So this is going to be another problem, right? Which you cannot. So let me just summarize. Today we have got intra-circle sharing, intra-band sharing, which is, you have got spectrum in one band, you have got the same band in one band in the same circle, you have other operator has got spectrum in the same band, in the same circle, you share and you can unlock the benefit. But nobody is generally not doing that. Tomorrow, when you talk about intra-band sharing, you have 800 megahertz and you want to basically share 900 megahertz, you pool both the spectrum to create a combined spectrum band to unlock more value, which is not possible because of the reason which I explained to you here, that you are going to pass through the diplexer. The mobile phones will have, because mobile phone will get integrated, it will receive signal from both 800 900 megahertz, and it is going to cause a huge problem, and you will have a loss of coverage because of this diplexer, because you can't filter out spectrum bands which are near to each other, right? So that is the second. Third is that if you are going with leasing, then you have a problem of 50%, which TRAI has said that you can't permit more than 50% sharing, which means that even if Vodafone or Bharti were to, let me just go to that particular, where is it? Yeah, here is it. So even if Vodafone wants to share spectrum in Bihar, it will not be able to do it because TRAI is now forcing to break this Bihar into two different compartments because of this 50% constraint in leasing. So that's why in the whole recommendation is of no value to me, if you ask me. It actually does not give any value, and it is not also futuristic to take into consideration mobile satellite integration, friends. Now probably you understand what I am talking about. Thank you, friends, for your time, and I'll come back with a new video next time on a new topic. Thank you very much for listening.